Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Rayados90 Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie, and joining me for it seems like a long time,
Mm-hmm.
it's Rompas. It, you had to come back, or we had to talk under horrible circumstances. Man, but it's good to see you. It's good to talk to you. Like I said, wish it would have been better under better circumstances, but here we are, man. Let's just get into it. I'm not gonna just like right now. You know, Monterrey is out of the Concacaf Champions Cup. That means
Yep.
they have wasted one opportunity out of the two opportunities that they have guaranteed to punch their ticket to the 2029 World Cup.
Yep.
They lost to another. This is a theme now. They're losing to MLS teams consistently. Martín Demichelis is on the hot seat. I don't think one game against Pumas that they won in the second half should change things, but he's on the hot seat. Uh, for like what was it at the entire Thursday? It was like, is he gonna stay? Is he gonna go? Then on Friday came, or I think on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, comes out. Okay, he's gonna stay for the Pumas game. The players are gonna try harder. Yada yada yada. First half looks very bad. Second half, they pull out the win. Uh, but yeah, it's been very like the last few days. It's been very chaotic. Thankfully,
Yeah.
the FIFA break is here, so it takes away from that. But uh, let's go back to the second leg against Vancouver. I was very like I wasn't like, oh, we're gonna win. Like you had Santiago Furcade say like, oh, they're gonna take care of the Vancouver team, right? They're gonna take care of the
Mm-hmm.
Canadian. To me, I was like neutral field. It's not, you're not playing at home. You're playing in
Yeah.
they still got like 10,000 people, but again, it's not the same as playing at your own stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
Yeah.
want to touch on that, you go ahead right away. Because I do not know why
I
they
will.
booked a concert when they
I
when they knew
will.
they were going to be in this tournament. But I was very cautious because neutral stadium. That's your fans traveled, but still, it's not your stadium. It's not at capacity. You're not. You saw last year when it was like against Messi how loud that stadium and intimidating that stadium.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. Granted, like I said, 10,000 people showed up, but it's not the same. To me, that was like the most concerning thing that gave for me Vancouver a chance.
Yeah.
Monterrey scored 1-0 right away, less than 10 minutes into the match, and then they fell asleep. They went to bed. I do not know what happened. Vancouver didn't go away, just like in the first leg where Monterrey scored, but Vancouver
Mm-hmm.
they stayed around and they got that goal, and then
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver stays around in that second leg and they get two this time. The match ends 2-2, and Vancouver advances on away goals. Um, where do you want to start with that second leg? Where do you? I'll let the floor is yours,
It's
man. Where do you want to go?
all right. So it's different to talk about it now for one thing only, because now it's been a week and a half. Different things had happened, like the Pumas win away. The players kind of having their coaches back, um, which I don't buy, but whatever. Um, and especially when it comes to management, because according to management, that's not me. It's management, the rumor, let's say that transpired was that the Michelis was gone by Thursday, right? But some way somehow, and I think it's really obvious because this is Tato's third chance. Vucetic, even though he didn't bring him, that was his first big upset. Then Tan Ortiz, and now the Michelis, and he wasn't gonna just fire the Michelis under the same circumstances as Tan Ortiz, which is on an international level. Then the strangest thing happened. He says, "Let me talk to the players because I'm not in charge. Apparently, I'm not the head of this thing." Is I assume it's Sergio Ramos and Sergio Canales now. I assume they are because he went and talked to them. Obviously, for them, uh, they're gonna stay by. there's no one player that's gonna say no. You know what? Just throw him away.
Yeah.
Just kick him off the curve. When you're making it public that you're talking to us, so what are they gonna do? You know what? We have his back, right? So that was really weird. Then this is the smart part of it. Now with the circumstances, now I think that it wasn't that bad to be kicked off the Concacaf. Why? Because now your calendar gets a lot more smoother, and let's face it, what you and I want is La Liga. We
Hmm.
don't right now. The Concacaf is not a priority because, as you said, we have another chance on the next tournament because of the final against America, right? So I don't want to say they did it on purpose, but now how things accommodated, it started to seem like that. It started to seem like, you know what? Again, you had Sergio Ramos.
Let me ask you something, because I saw somebody tweet that out. A lot of
Mhm.
these, this is an old team. This is an old team. Nobody can sit there
Exactly.
and say this is a team that's all their good players, or are over
Over
33.
30.
It's not even.
Mhm.
I mean, if you want to include Rica Chavez, but you have Stefan
Exactly.
Medina over is 33. Sergio Ramos, Canales. If you want to include, I mean, if you, I guess for that match, if you want to
Maybe
include
Andrada.
Andrada, and then you got the guys over at 30, which is Oliver Torres. I think Hueso Reyes is
Campos.
33. Campos, uh,
Tecate.
Tecate. I think Cortizo is 28 or 29. He's not 30, but
28. 28.
yeah,
Mhm. He's close, yeah.
yeah. So like we just rattled off 6, 7 players that are over 30.
Mochis is
Yeah,
30.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even though he seems like people think he's like
Yes.
25 or 26. He's not even
Exactly.
30.
Yes.
But
Yes.
do you think at some point somebody has to say this is an old team? Where is like, and I get if I know we're gonna touch on like this is why you shipped out Johan Rojas. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you need young legs, right? You can't, and it's like they knew this tournament was, and I guess we can go to the Shakira things. Like this whole thing, just the way they constructed this team. If a lot of your players are
Yeah.
over 30, and then you can throw in Carlos Salcedo too. He's over 30, even though he's not playing.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of these players are over 30. You need to complement them with young players, especially if you're playing 2 or 3 tournaments. You see some
Definitely.
older teams in Europe or in Brazil, like it's just it's like it doesn't, like I don't know if Mexican football is like far removed from having, teams compete in 2 or 3 tournaments where people don't think like, hey, we need other players,
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
rotate because we have an older team. But do you think, obviously we're going back to the winter trend, and I don't want to go too far back, but it's like when you look at it now, how everything has played out, do you think this team was like in terms of depth? I'm not saying they don't have good
Mm-hmm.
players.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of depth, it's badly constructed because you had
It,
the guys like De La Rosa, who's 25, who's supposed to be like, okay, a guy that's supposed to like take some pressure off, but he's
mm-hmm.
not. He's only scored 1 goal, and since since he last scored in 2023, so it's like a guy that is supposed to have young legs really isn't contributing. But Rami,
Yep.
another guy that has young legs, you don't know if he's gonna show up, like if he's gonna score or not. You can't get,
Mm-hmm.
we've seen him miss 1-on-1 against goalkeepers and
Yeah.
goals that he should. So another guy
I
that's
guess
in his
Vancouver.
prime, yeah, it's another guy in his prime that it's just there's no security. You can't really trust him,
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Platanito. Yeah, I don't know if
He's
Demichelis
not
like
even
him.
playing.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
don't. And I remember listening to Furcado's show. He's like that signing was like wrapped up before Demichelis. So like it was just like
Yeah.
here it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't even know, like is he a player that even likes it, the way he's just not even using him.
Exactly.
I'm assuming he doesn't like him. So you're wasting a lot of like players spots on players who are supposed to you know take some pressure off these older players, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
happening. And then you go back to dropping points in January. That's where
Yeah.
you really fucked up, and that's where it's really coming back to haunt you, where you have to now play these guys almost every week,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't bank those points where it's like, okay, we eliminated Forge. A lot of the young players, they can play against Querétaro, right, or
Mm-hmm.
play against Barcelona. Like some of these teams that they should be playing against just to give some of these guys the rest. They didn't do that. You saw when they eliminated Forge, a lot of the starters were against Querétaro. right? So
Yeah.
it's just like I think, and I just want to get your opinion, not to go too long on this, but it's just this team in terms of depth, it's poorly constructed.
If you notice, we've been talking about it since the birth of this podcast. And we always use the analogy of the car, right? Like the management, whether it's Davino back in his time or now Tato, they see the car that is the flat is just you have a flat tire and they buy a new wheel or they buy a new carpet for the. I mean, bro, what about the tire? Yeah, we get to that. So this is, I mean, in the irony is that now we do have depth because that was what they told me back in December that we needed another right back, another left back, another blah, 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 blah. But we didn't need any strikers, right? That's what they told us, right? And now what what's the point of having two right backs when you have only one tournament left? There's no reason for it. Who who's competing against who to play who, right? But it is something that I'm glad that people is waking up to the fact that even though yes, the signings have been quote unquote good, let's say the majority of it, we can discuss we can have a full podcast only on that. But all right, let's say that they're good, right? Let's say that those were the first options with them. They were not, but let's say that they were. All right. So they bring Canales, bring da. Why? Why would you have a team that is over 30 and the backup that you're bringing is over fucking 30 as well? Who had that idea? I have a center back who's 35. Let me grab one that's 39. My God, bro. I mean, who makes these decisions? And I know who. But I was saying, I'm glad the people is waking up to the fact that yeah, there were t-shirt selling signs. Perfect. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I want to win trophies, bro. And I'm not saying they're not gonna win trophies, but I'm gonna throw a little bomb right now. But now people is pointing fingers at Tato, which last year that didn't happen. They were calling me reventador, that I don't like the club, that this and that and the third. And now people are saying, you know what? Maybe this motherfucker isn't that crazy. Maybe he's making a little bit of sense. Because it is what it is. I'm not talking about the signings. All right, get your signings, whatever. But what about the team? What about what the team actually needs? What about at the end of the day, we have to start measuring the signings through how many championships are they getting. Let me tell you one really quick thing. We threw out Maximiliano Mesa, Rogelio Funes Mori, and the list goes on, right? And those guys that nobody likes, those guys won every fucking title there is.
Yeah. Yeah, they won the league. They won a Copa MX when it was still around, and they won. Well, some of them won two Concacafs.
They went and did a great presentation against Liverpool. That I mean, it's not to throw shade on anybody or nothing like that. And I'm not saying that I want them back because people are
No,
like
no,
that.
no, no, no,
I'm
no.
not. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, where does the people draw the line? If we're gonna be um let's say reventadores, well then do that.
Yeah,
Don't just do it whenever you feel like it. Then do it all through history. Stay consistent so the club says, oh, you know what? These guys are not bringing in the trophies. Maybe there's something wrong here,
yeah,
right? But
yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah. No, I it it's not to say that Canales is a bad sign. Like that guy is pretty much, if he's
Uh,
not going,
uh,
we don't exist. Like in terms of like
exactly. Yeah,
hacking,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just him. Like we've seen when he has an off night or he's not contributing, we stink. Nobody else steps up to take
Exactly.
over it, and at some point,
Hmm.
you can't keep asking a 34-year-old to be carrying your team. Like at some point,
Exactly.
it's gonna be. I know it's the Mexican link, but at some point, people get old. People, it's not their
Hmm.
body's not the same as they used to be,
Hmm.
and you just hit it on the head. I mean, to go back a little bit further in that first leg, it came out that I don't know if it was just the foreign players or all the players, the backups were like upset that they're not playing more. I don't know if it
Hmm.
was just the foreign players or all of them. And it's like
Hmm.
they got their shot to play against Vancouver and they stuck.
Lol.
They sucked. They sucked. They only got one
Lol.
goal, and after that, so it's like
Yeah.
it makes you think this team doesn't. They want to say they have depth, but it's not good depth. We just
Hmm.
said it.
Exactly. Exactly.
You
Exactly.
got Enrique Aguirre, who is almost 30 or close to is
Hmm.
he's
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 close.
another one. He's another one that's like I don't know, but like you said, you get another guy that's 32 or they're 30. I mean, like they're both they're close to 30s. They're both there.
Hmm.
So it's like, and then you get Arteaga out. You bring in an older player. Yes, you got him as a free agent, but it's like it,
The same
he's
thing.
past his prime. He's past his prime. He's not. He's not. You're
Hmm.
not getting a player from. I would understand if
What
you're bringing in somebody from Europe that's 33. It's maybe he can still give you
different?
another year or two, but you got him from Atlas. So it's like
Exactly. Exactly.
at some point, and then
And, and what do you read? Let's be clear now. What do you read about those type of decisions that they keep bringing in players like that on that age specifically? What I'm reading is we want to be champions now. I don't give a
yeah,
fuck about
no, yeah,
age.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I'm
That's
reading.
what I read, and that's why it's like, and that's why I didn't understand when people were like, "Oh, with Demichelis, it's a process. Like, leave the process. The process is not.
Yeah,
There is no process. There is. It's all your
it's
best
never
players
been a
are
process.
all your best
Never.
players are like they can like that. I'm snapping my fingers
Mhm.
for anybody who's not watching this. They can go like that. They can go like that.
Yeah,
Like they can
yeah.
like you've seen Porto's not even 30 yet, but like he can have a good 6 months and then it's like the rest it's like what the hell's going on with this guy? So
Yeah,
it's like
it's like
you
that.
don't know when it can go out. If
It's just that and we can fully analyze this, and we haven't had a process since Mohamed on 2015.
no,
That was a process. That was all right. I trust the manager, well, the coach instead.
yeah,
So let's bring in players that are adapt
yeah,
and can
yeah,
adapt to
yeah.
his idea, right?
Like,
And we
say if
did that 3 years,
yeah,
and
say
it
if you got
worked or
Canales
not.
at 24, right? If you got him,
So,
if he was 20, and then all your best, like I cover PSG, right? That's a
uh-huh.
process under Luis Enrique. Like they got rid of all their
Yeah.
stars, and then all their best players are like early teens or late teens and early 20s, where it's like,
Yes.
okay, we'll go. They're gonna struggle, but we're gonna stick with them because eventually they're gonna start hitting their prime. That's a
Uh-huh.
process. Like CF Monterrey was like, you know what? We're gonna scrap all like especially after Canales leaves, we're gonna scrap all of this and we're gonna just get in players. Like and that's where it's like people have to like stay on the process.
Uh-huh.
Like, a lot of these players
Yeah.
are in their early 20s or mid 20s. Like this is a process. It's not guys already 30, 33. Like these are guys towards the end of their career where it's like we're
You're
trying to
not
win
gonna teach
championships.
him. You're
Yeah.
not gonna teach him nothing. And the thing is, the only good thing that I see, and specifically in Canales' way of being himself, that he is making sure that the young players catch this European draft,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like the work schedule, the commitment, this and that. And that's why you have a guy like Fimbres there. And that's what bothers me. The team should be built around not him specifically,
Yeah.
but players like Fimbres,
Yeah.
22, 23.
Not even he's
You
19.
have exactly but that
You
you
were touching
build your
you're
team
touching something.
around that.
Yeah, you're touching something I wanted to tweet out today or the other day is that I would like for Monterrey to like build their team around like these these really good players like Canales, but
Mhm.
also mix in players who are from your youth academy
Yeah.
or Mexican, but they know what it means to like play from like they care about it. Like
Mm-hmm.
just having
Mm-hmm.
obviously I'm not saying just care, but like understand, you know,
What it is? Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you're playing, like what this
Yeah.
means to some people, so they can like understand, like okay, this is people, you know, it's not like you're going to Saudi Arabia. No offense, but if anybody listening to Saudi Arabia, it's like you're going to Saudi Arabia. You're only going there for the cash. Like you really could give to like if you take your obviously like if you're Ronaldo, like you're just a sicko
Yeah.
and you're gonna do it. But like some people just go for the cash and then they
Mm-hmm.
check out. You've seen it. Like there's like
Yeah.
you know they'll get the bag and then be like, you know what, I don't like it here. I'm gonna bounce. You know, you saw it with
Mm-hmm.
Neymar. You saw it with Neymar.
Yeah.
He got his money. He barely played. So you know, but you know, going back to Monterrey, like I would like for them to have like a. You saw the Valenzuela kid play against Forge and against Querétaro. You saw good things. Like he showed that he can play
Keep
against.
using them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he can play against grown adults, and it's like why not count on him if to at least challenge a Jordi Cortés or whoever else you want to play like behind
I
the
would take
Campos.
Valenzuela 100 times before De La Rosa, bro.
Yeah, and then you have other players like the Mojica kid, and I know the Aldo
Mm-hmm.
kid is still he's about to turn 17, but it's like
Yes, but
why not give
it's
these kids a chance to at least
mm.
like light a fire under the
see
backup because
see that's
you saw against
mm,
Vancouver in that first leg, they didn't do anything,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's where you kind of put yourself in a hole. You I don't know what uh, I guess Demichelis wanted to be like, okay, go ahead, I'm gonna give you guys a shot, go play, but it
Mm-hmm.
ended up biting you in the ass because they only got one away goal, and ended up the away goals ended up costing you, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's like yes,
It's
players like
really weird.
Cortizo are really like if you look at it on paper, like okay, he should be a really good player to have him off the bench, but you're starting to see like dude is only good for like 20-25 minutes. You really can't put him as a starter.
If
He's
mm-hmm.
only good 20-25 minutes off the bench, and that's it. That's all. Like at least that's what he's shown.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's like, is that really depth? Because you can't even rotate him in to be a starter to be effective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then and we can go on and
It
on.
it's just weird because again, if this pod would have been a week ago, it would be entirely different. but now I'm because it gives you time to kind of think and see how things are transpiring, how everything is building up. And every single day that goes by, it it just hits me stronger and stronger the idea that they threw it against Vancouver because they didn't have, just as you said, we don't have the depth or the capacity, whatever you want to call it, to face two tournaments because it was
Yeah.
gonna get harder and harder and
Mhm.
harder as you move along.
Yeah.
Maybe not Pumas. Pumas, you
Mhm.
see what you do to
Mhm.
Pumas,
Yeah.
right? They keep crying. They've been crying for 3 days now. Get over it. But uh, may I'm talking about a semifinal where
Yeah.
you
And then if
and
who
again,
knows if we're in the play-in? Like you saw Pachuca left, and
exactly,
I said it on the
exactly.
on previous podcast. That's why I kind of was upset that they dropped points in January because now you're putting yourself where you were like with
Exactly.
Pachuca, where like
What
where
happens? Let's put it like this. Let's put it like this. You know what, guys? Let's just imagine that because it could have happened, right? You know what, guys? We have two tournaments, right? People want to be La Liga champion. That's their freaking obsession since 2019, right?
but we haven't won a trophy since 2021. Like it's at some
Wait,
point you got to
wait, wait,
say
wait,
we
wait,
have to win a trophy.
wait.
Go ahead, go
I'm trying to draw a picture here.
ahead.
So then the Michelis goes and goes to the older guys, right? Or the leaders. Guys, do you think you can manage? Of course, Canales is gonna say, yeah, we can do it, right? But then he turns around and he sees the bench and he's like, no, we cannot fucking do this. So why don't we just make it seem like we're gonna, because he did start all the foreigners, right? Who had never played before together, first of all. He, even in the substitution, he took a much more time than he needed. And at the end of the day, right now you can appreciate the fact that you lost a lot of points back in January. So he could have said, you know what, let's just do this, and if it gives if it gives us enough to go through Vancouver, great. But next game is gonna be against Pumas or Galaxy, whatever the team was, and we're facing the harder part of La Liga because we have America, Tigres, Chivas, and Leon. So, what's up, guys? So, me, I would say like it makes sense. You know what? Fuck the Concacaf. Let's just focus on this. We got your back or whatever. So the only way that all of this makes sense is if in May we're champions. That's the only way. The thing that worries me is that we haven't played shit for 9 months. So
And
how
you
are
haven't
you
played the
gonna
good
do
teams.
that?
You haven't played
Exactly.
to be honest, it's just America and Leon. And then
Yeah,
if you want to throw in
but maybe
Tigres, like
Pachuca.
America and Pachuca, but like I feel like America is like to do America
Yeah.
is here, and then everybody else is right here because they are just
Uh-huh.
they're just destroying
The only
everybody.
thing that I would point about that is the last time that we faced each other was on the final, and on God, if we would have Ocampos the entire time, we wouldn't lost that fucking final. I think that's the mentality that they have. Like the best team only kind of like was a little bit better than us, and we were without the best player of the fucking league, right? So
Like,
maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. I
well, I mean,
hope
they got.
it's that.
I want to believe it, but it's like you got rid of the only other guy that scored in that final. It's like who else is going to step up? Like everybody had
Uh-huh.
us. No, not to go revisit that, but it's like everybody else had an opportunity to step up.
Yeah.
Nobody did. So it's like, and only
Yeah,
Canales,
yeah.
only Canales did anything.
Only Canales, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just uh, it's because I feel like like maybe it's just me being very paranoid because let's go back to the like the last like cycle to qualify for the Club
Uh-huh.
World Cup that we have here. Monterrey only played 2 out of the 4. Now it's a little bit easier to qualify. All you need to do is either get to the final,
Mm-hmm.
accumulate the points, which we did
Yeah.
for this one, or
Mm-hmm.
win Leagues Cup. So you get three
Mm-hmm.
other outside of like just trying to getting to the final. You have 2 other options,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a
Yeah.
little bit easier. But that's just my worry. It's like during the last cycle, they only played twice, and obviously they won the one they needed to win,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because at some point you just can't be like, oh, I don't care about Concacaf. Well, you have to qualify
Yeah,
for the
no,
World
no,
Cup
of course
because
no.
you're not going to. You can tell me, you can answer me this because I don't think Canales, Oliver Torres, Lucas Ocampos came to Mexico just because they wanted to play in Mexico. I feel like
Of
they
course not.
sold them on like, hey, we're playing this cool tournament.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to convince them, but like that's like
Yeah.
the censor of your convincing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going to convince them with just money. If that's so, their agents can call up a Saudi club or a Qatari club, and
Exactly.
they can be like, hey,
Mhm.
you want my client? How much you're going to pay me more
Yeah,
than
yeah.
you do in Mexico? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
No, it has
so
to
answer me
it
that. Like,
has to be
at
your
what
best
point
standpoint.
do you be like, okay, they have to prioritize Concacaf now? I'm assuming next year they have to. I don't care if they win the league this
Hopefully.
year or not because they have to now because now they,
Mm-hmm.
that's guaranteed at least. You have one more shot. I don't. There's no guarantee for the following 2 editions, right? So you have next year.
Yeah.
That's the one um, because at some point they have to prioritize this tournament. People can't be saying, well, it's
Yeah,
Conte.
no, no, no.
At some point,
It,
because you're not
it's
going to get players like Canales and then to come back without having that Club World Cup. And you can see
it.
America missed it. Uh, they missed it.
Look at the
They
fans.
so
Look at
it,
his fans. Look at the
yeah,
fans.
and
They all want to
they're
play
like
it.
yeah, and you can see. and once that tournament starts, they're gonna be like, we should have been there. So it's like you don't
Yeah,
want to keep saying, okay, we'll do it next year, because at some point you're not. That's why I was like,
hmm
you should have just gotten it, and you said it in your spaces in the past. Get this out of the way, have it you punched,
exactly,
and then whenever Canales' era is over, you can turn it over and try to look for that next Canales. Right now, you
exactly.
really can't sell somebody on, hey, we have the Club World Cup in 2029. Do you want to, be here for the
hmm
next 3-4 years and
Yep,
go to that? You can't really sell them on that. So like,
exactly.
at what point do you be like, okay, whether they win the league this year, whether it's this tournament or the next one,
Mm,
at what point do you be like, okay, we have to focus on Concacaf because now,
Immediately,
and
immediately.
you used to say it in the previous podcast, like this is our tournament. I don't think they can say that
Exactly.
anymore. They can't after getting your ass kicked by Columbus Crew and then Vancouver Whitecaps.
Good thing you say that because you tweeted that out, and I was gonna respond, but I like to wash my clothes inside my house, so I'm
We're
address that. I'm
Yeah,
address that.
no,
Okay.
go ahead before we switch to
All
Demichelis
right.
because I'm trying
All
to
right.
spend this time on Concacaf because I feel like obviously the league's important, but you need to
Mhm.
have that World Cup
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't like people think they're going to attract another Canales. Well, you need that tournament to be able to
Without
say
it,
hey,
no.
because you saw Leon.
Without it, no.
I don't think James Rodriguez is going to Leon Guanajuato
Mhm.
if they don't
Exactly.
have Club World Cup, right? So
Exactly. No, it
I
is.
don't
It
think
is what it is.
I
It
don't
is what
think
it is.
John Kennedy is going from Rio de Janeiro to Pachuca if it wasn't for Club World Cup. You know, so I want you to just go ahead and touch on that before we switch over to Demichelis because
It's just that I still think that this is Monterrey's tournament. Not so much. This is what I was going to respond to your tweet. It's not so much about the present, but we were the team that made it important. That's why it's Monterrey's tournament. Because before Monterrey chanting all over the fucking country that we won it 3 times back in 2010, well, 2011, 2012, 2013, nobody gave a fuck about CONCACAF, right? So that's why I always say this is Monterrey's tournament because we made it what it is now. Before that, it was just another cup. But being that the reason exactly is because you have to win it immediately
yeah,
because you have lost now 3 chances, if I'm not mistaken, since 2021.
yeah. So they go
Mm,
on the one that they who did they lose to? Like the one before they won it in 20. So I think out of the last four or five editions, they've only won it twice. The
mhm.
2019 and 2021.
Yes.
The one before 2019, they got eliminated. I don't know by who. I forgot. It was an embarrassing one. I forgot who they eliminated. Someone eliminated them.
Whomever is
Yeah,
embarrassing.
and then they lose
Then like
to
even
Columbus Crew. Yeah, no, but
oh
it's like
yes. Well yeah, that agree.
what I
And
find
then
funny.
Columbus.
Yeah, well, what I find funny is that they were able to win this tournament with Diego Alonso and Javier Aguirre. Like, it's not like they're like Pep Guardiola
Exactly.
or something like that.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
they would destroy MLS teams. Like they used to destroy them. And it's
That
like,
that is interesting. How
and then now this year or last year and this year, it's like they got like they got punched. I would like to think
well,
humiliated because you had Columbus Crew down, and then
mhm,
you let them back into the match, and then
yeah.
they run
Mhm.
at home too. I would never have thought about them like running
It,
around home.
it's just like this, and this is something that I've said a bunch of times. If you lose to a team that calls this game
Oh yeah,
soccer, I mean, there's
now
nothing much to
we're
say
losing
after.
teams that play hockey first.
Exactly. They're more worried about hockey than well, it is what all right. So going back, we do have to win it the next season, well, the next tournament, which is gonna be next
Next year.
year. Uh because first you have to take advantage of the players that you already have, like Canales, Ocampo, da, 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 da. And as you said, this is the only way for you to get those players that are gonna replace them for the
Mhm.
next World Cup. That's the only way. As you said it, right now there is even finally a fucking confirmation. You called me crazy a year back. Then maybe this is a long fucking maybe. Cristiano Ronaldo is considering playing here, but it's not because we're Monterrey.
Yeah.
It's because there's a team that could pay me X amount of money for playing on a World Cup. That's interesting to me. So if that attracts a guy like that, or even not like that, name it as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Benzema, Firmino, Cabral, whomever. Those guys are not gonna turn their head to Monterrey if you don't have those type of
Mm-hmm.
tournaments. Let's just be clear, right?
Yeah.
So you do have that commitment to yourself as an institution to keep bringing players at least for this summer window and the obviously the special window for the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, keep bringing players that can go be can excel around Canales or Campos. You know who your backbone guys are. You already know that. The only question that you might have is whether it's Andrada or Mochis, which for me is the same fucking shit, and Corcho or Fidel, which for me Corcho shouldn't been playing since I don't know November
Yeah.
from last year. So and it's that because people are gonna say no, but they're not the same position because the fifth player. Let's talk about reality, bro. It's not about the position; it's about the player. You can have two players at the same position that play that position differently, right? So if you have a guy like, for instance, Fidel Ambris, who goes a little bit more uh, to the offensive side of things, you can have a guy like him and just plays another dude that is gonna take that responsibility of going a little bit back, right? But you can do that without Corcho because he's playing against Pumas. Nobody remembers this because we won, but against Pumas, he gave away at least like three passes that were like I don't know from here to a meter and a half, and he gave it away to Funes Mori or whomever, right? So it's just we do have to, well, not we, but the club
Yeah.
has to get in their head that if we don't win a CONCACAF soon, we're gonna have Canales, and then that's fucking it.
Yeah. It's gonna be one of those like I don't want to say like Suazo, and then it's like you
Mm-hmm.
wait for that next great player, and you don't
Mm-hmm.
have it until when did he come? 2023. So it was like whenever Suazo ended to like 2023.
2014,
Yeah,
9 years.
yeah. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, or it's that now you have something that you can put at the end of the stick and be like, hey, you're a player that's 29, 30. Do you want to come to Monterrey? We're playing in this really cool tournament, and
Exactly.
especially now if it goes well this tournament and people or players are like enticed by it, like hey I want to take part of that or that seems really interesting, um you know it just makes it more a little bit more convincing for an argument to say hey
Exactly. It's different. It's
yeah
different because again, it's like if I were to sold you on my company to come work for us, it's so much easier because I'm already here,
hmm
right? And you know who I am, and you've seen what I've done, so you kind of know like, oh well, that sounds kind of cool. But if take me out of the equation, same company, same benefits, same whatever, you're gonna be like, I don't know, bro. I don't
yeah
like the hot weather. I don't like this and that or that or Mexico's insecurity or whatever. Nah, thanks, I'll pass. Because you have those players now. Maybe the only one who's gonna stay, because I think he kind of like he is in love with the city and he has the age to stay longer, is Oliver Torres.
yeah he's dirty
But he's not Canales. He's
yeah
not Ramos to help you sell the team to a much much larger stature of a
hmm
player, right? So I mean, you could sign a lot of Sevilla
yeah
uh
Spaniard you're pretty much
teammates or
Spanish
Yeah, but other than that, just it is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, um, yeah. I think next year, we're gonna go to Demichelis now. But for me, next year, when it go, and I would even consider the summer a little bit. You have to start building depth. Like you can't say because the winter transfer window is so short, you really can't build depth unless you like use players that like loans or something like that, like they do in like lower divisions in England and stuff like that, where they get a bunch of loan players because they know the next 6 months are going to be really hard, that they need depth. But like it's like start building your depth. Start like you're going to play Concacaf next year. Okay, do a little bit in the summer and then the next part in the winter, and it's like okay, now we have an actual team that we are confident can rotate, right? That we can.
Need to have two teams. Yeah, no,
Mhm.
you need to have two teams. There's no other way about it. Maybe not 22 players that are equally qualified,
Yeah.
but you need at least 18.
At least give me a striker that's gonna score goals. Give me
Oh,
some
well,
forward. Give me some forwards that are gonna score. And then going back to like what we were saying, like they have some really good players in their youth system that they can
mhm.
like you can. Hey,
we think we think they're good. We don't know for sure.
well,
We
I
think
mean, as long as I mean, going back to the Valenzuela, like the kid showed us something. Like he could play. You
they're
know,
better than De La Rosa, yeah, all
yeah,
day,
yeah.
all
So
day.
it's like get some of those players in and see if they can, you know, do something because like
Hmm.
Monterrey has an underrated like cantera, like a youth system.
Yeah,
Like I,
yeah.
you I think at least out of Mojica, out of Venezuela, out of the Aldo kid, I just hit on one. I'm greedy,
Mhm.
get two because Valenzuela's a tall winger. You don't see that a
Yeah,
lot. You don't see tall
exactly,
wingers, so it's like
exactly.
and like I said, he I don't know where you want to count Forge, like if
It's
it's second division or third division team, but he played well against them. He should have had an
yeah.
assist if De Osa puts it on target. He's
Hmm.
he should have that goal. To me, that goal should have counted against Querétaro.
To
But
me
it's
as well. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and he showed like how many players are going to be hustling. Like they see the goalkeeper just being lazy or like really sloppy with the ball. I'm going to go pressure him and try to get a goal. So it's like
Hmm.
you got some talent. Try to
Yeah.
get that. But like go transitioning over to the manager. Hopefully he plays him because now a 19-year-old played a part in saving his job. Um, where do you see this going long term? Obviously, they said it's going to be game by game, but against Pumas, you saw a lot of hugging, a lot of showing like, hey,
It's
we're all
not
together
going.
still. We're a group. We're united. We're gonna
Mhm.
get through this adversity. You even saw Tato say a post game. I don't know if it was like that day or the following day. It's like this is a united group. They want to see this process through, and he saw Demichelis say it too. Like he wants to stay in the city. He loves the city. This supposedly the fans support him. It's all yada yada. United team, all this and that. But at the end of the day, it's what you do on the pitch. They
Yep.
have an international break to try to just reset now.
Hmm.
But where do you see this long term going? Where do you see it? Do you see? I think
Um.
like I personally, I it's hard to buy into how they're playing. It's hard. I don't want to like throw a manager out, but it's like at the end of the day, I feel like last tournament he was just like pushing them through just encouragement, all this and that. It wasn't really tactics.
Hmm.
It's like
Hmm.
I didn't get a transfer window. I'm gonna make do with what I got, and we're just gonna try to write this. And they wrote it to a
Yeah.
final. This year he has a transfer window. He brings in Nelson De Osa. Like reportedly, that was his. He wanted him. He wanted that
Yeah.
player. So it's like,
Hmm.
and that guy's not. He shows signs that he's a really good player, but
He's not
for some
playing
reason,
where he should.
yeah. And then you have him playing Canales on the wing for some reason. You have
Imagine that.
he keeps counting on Roberto de la Rosa for some reason to score goals. He isn't playing Hector Moreno. I don't know if Hector Moreno is just because he's
I
done
think he was injured. I think he was
or I
injured.
don't know what. Victor Guzman, it goes back to last season. He really didn't play him that much. Like I don't know if he
Hmm.
doesn't rate him. And he's a former center back, so he knows the position more than you and I. I don't know
Yeah.
if he just doesn't like see it in him. because he'd rather play Stefan Medina, and Stefan Medina, that's not really his position, his strongest
Mm-hmm.
position. He'll play it like if it's an emergency, and then you go on and on. It's like this team just isn't functioning. But
It's
where do you
it's
see this
just
going? Where do you see this going long term?
yeah. It's really hard for me to be as blunt as I have to in this situation because if the UP in me wants to say, you know what, we're gonna ride this all the way, we're gonna be champions, and we're gonna forget about this shit, and we're gonna build from that. But it is not that I want my team to lose to prove a point,
Mm-hmm.
but I just don't see how playing quote unquote as we have the last 6 to 8 months, we're gonna win anything. I other than give the ball to Canales so he can figure things out. I don't know what's the tactical part of the team. What does he work on a weekly basis? Because you don't see nothing. You just see attempts. That's
Mm-hmm.
what you see. You see people carrying the ball all the way to Canales, and then just hey, here I'm open. That's it, right? So it's gonna work against teams like Pumas, yes, of course, Santos, of course. But is it gonna work against America? Is it gonna work against Cruz Azul? Is it gonna work against who else? Leon?
And the defense isn't
It's
and the defense isn't that good. So it's like if you're, so I think Leon
that's the
doesn't have
other
a really
part.
good defense, but they can score. So if they can just
Yeah.
outscore us, that it's gonna be good. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
even it would have been more confidence boosting if they would have clean sheeted Pumas,
Exactly.
but
Yes.
that
Yeah,
didn't
but
happen.
I did it
Um,
as usual. But the thing is this: I think that the only advantage that I see for Demichelis is this right now. Every decision is gonna either kill him or make him. So he has no longer any ties to any player. So I think that that's the reason why you're gonna see Andrade again. I think that's the reason why you're not gonna see Guzman. That's the reason why you're gonna see Medina and Aguirre because he loves those two guys playing on the right side. You're gonna start seeing more of Arteaga, less of Reyes, less of Ricardo Chavez. You're gonna see less Fidel Ambrosio. So you're gonna see the players that he really vouched for because now it is what it is. As 50 Cent once said, get rich or die trying.
yeah,
Because everything is on him.
and supposedly
And
he's being monitored week in and week out. It's not like, okay, one
that's
game everything is fine, like everything like it's going back to
I
normal.
don't think so. I don't think so. Let me tell you why. The only window that you had to kinda make that move was now.
Hmm.
Because from now on, you're playing on a weekly basis. There's no other
Yeah.
other
No, no, no,
fecha
no. It's
FIFA.
not until the end of the season.
So, and as we were talking about on Spaces, what good coach is gonna take this for three,
No,
four
really.
games? No good coach is gonna take it. Let's face it.
Unless you overpay
Even
him, unless you overpay
even if it,
him,
well, maybe
that's about
that,
it. Maybe that's the only
maybe
thing I
that,
can
yeah.
say. Or you can
But
say I have.
but
He'll try to like say maybe say I have full control over the next transfer window because I'm inheriting this
but
shit.
even that, you can sell. Let's say Xavi Hernandez. You know what, bro? We wanted you for the summer, but we kind of need you now. Take the team. Whatever you do is fine because we already like fucked it up, and you get to take us to the World Cup and this and that. All right, so maybe he would be like, all right, I'm gonna do it. But what that's gonna do is he's gonna burn a bridge with the people, with the fans, because we're gonna see the same players playing nothing because there's no magic trick that's gonna
Yeah.
make him play. That takes time and work, and especially a guy like Xavi or coaches that know how to play the fucking game.
Yeah.
It's gonna take time. So you're gonna, let's say that you do that against, I don't know, you lose against Chivas, which is the next Tijuana, the
Yeah.
next game. So you have 3 more games and maybe the Liguilla. You bring Xavi for the last 2 games and you lose those 2 games and you don't even go to the Liguilla. What's that gonna do to the
Yeah.
people?
It's
I
true.
mean,
It's
it's
they're
just
gonna be yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And another thing that I wanted to touch on is the major reason why he wasn't fired is because if Demichelis goes, if he is sent off, that's Tato's way of
Yeah.
saying, you know what, I fucked it up again, and that's
That's something I wanted
a
to touch
big
on in the
problem.
last few minutes. Is it because he stays because he knows like this is my project? If he can't turn it around, then
Mhm.
all the arrows are going to be pointing at me because
Yeah,
at some point people
exactly.
can't be sold on like, oh my god, he brought Ramos. Oh my god, Sergio Canales is
Mhm.
really good. You haven't won anything. It's like you're
Mhm.
really going to waste. You know, I don't hear an extension for Sergio Canales. Like
Exactly.
I don't hear anything like, oh, he's gonna extend for another year. Like Berterame, he still had 1 year on his. I think he still had 1 year on his. He still had a year left. Still got an
Mhm.
extra year right away, and you don't hear
Mhm.
anything with Canales. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if he. I don't even know if he's gonna make it to like the last year. If he's gonna say, you know what, after the Club World
Mhm.
Cup, I didn't like this last experience. I think I want to go
Bouncing.
retire in Spain. Like go ahead and sell me
Mhm.
for the last year.
Which makes
Or
sense.
mutual.
It would
Um,
make sense.
so, at, where are you in his project? Where are you in this project? Do you
Not
see this
so.
turning around? Do you see this just crashing and burning at some point? Where are you with this,
Mm.
whatever this project? Because too, like if you were
Mhm.
to hire Demichelis, his project, quote unquote, is done. It would have been over. There's
Mhm.
nothing. You're bringing in
Yeah.
a fireman to like put out, the flames and see if he can salvage whatever. But I do think
Mhm.
like he's trying to salvage his project. Like that's one of the reasons why he didn't sack him.
Yeah. It is exactly
I
that.
want this to work because if not, everybody's going to be gunning for me now.
Mhm. And a lot of, again, a lot of people call me crazy or again reventador or that I was exaggerating because I'm the only one who haven't left that alone. I don't trust those guys. Look what they did on the only 2 jobs that they have had, Tato Noriega and Hector Lara. If it weren't because we have players that are on a certain level, Monterrey would be facing, I don't know, the 17, 18 spot. It is what it is. We play like shit. But we have players of a certain capacity that makes us go to a final, makes us get into those 3 or 4 teams that make it every tournament. All right, perfect. But at the end of the day, I think that that has caught on the upper management.
Mhm.
That that's why I think that whatever happens from now on until Monterrey is done, the Michelis is not gonna go anywhere because he just cannot fire him because he's his bodyguard.
Yeah,
He's that. I mean, he's taking all the shots, all of them. Maybe some people gunning from certain players like Berterame and so on and so forth. But the majority is pointing at the Michelis
mhm,
when this is just logical, this common sense. Who put him there?
yeah,
And
and
who accepted? I mean, and I want to be perfectly clear with this. Tato Noriega played the game, right? So he should know about football, right? if you see the bigger picture, right? Anyone, anyone with a little common sense is gonna tell you, you need a striker, sir. You need a striker. You have this, that, that. And he went to Demichelis. Demichelis told him, no, you know what? With Roberto La Rosa, we're good to go. Where is your management, leadership, capacity, or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
to say, you know what, sir? A guy who hasn't scored in a year and a half is not going to be your fucking solution.
Yeah.
So let's bring
And then
somebody.
you have the guy,
Somebody.
you have the number one guy who has said in the past he doesn't like carrying the responsibility, right? Or some
Exactly. I'm not a striker.
yeah.
I'm
So
not a
it's like
striker. That was Funes Mori. That's not me.
yeah.
My God, that's your guy. That's the one who's gonna save you from the burning building. That's your guy. A guy who's limping. He's gonna carry you all the way from the third floor all the way down. No, sir, that's not gonna happen. See what happened to Dr. House. He died in the fucking fire
Yeah.
because he wasn't limping. That's it. So it is what it is. The thing is this. Let's say by some freaking somebody's niece yesterday in Monterrey's champion. It's gonna be champion on May, right? So it affected the matrix or whatever. So we ended up being champions. This is the type of things that I don't want to think about because it makes me look like a reventador at
Yeah.
heart, which I'm not. But do you guys really want to be champions that bad? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because what does that would mean? What would that mean? That
I mean,
Demichelis is
we
just
saw it
honest.
already. We saw this story with Dudas Amino. They win in 2019. They win a championship in 2020 or a trophy in 2021. They keep making bad decisions, bad player, like bad contracts, bad everything. But they can shield themselves by saying, "Hey, we won some trophies." But it's
Here's
like
the trophy.
it wasn't like it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna win 3 or 2. You know, we're gonna go off like an America, like a run like America, or if you want to say Tigres run, right? Where it's like we're gonna win 4 out of the next 6 tournaments, right? It doesn't give you that sensation. It's like, okay, we're champions,
Exactly.
but do you see us winning the next 2 out of 3 or 4 out of 6?
Exactly.
And
I
that's
would
not,
I would think that back in 2015 when we lost 2016 and 2017, that was the way that I was thinking. I was like, all right, we lost the final. Yes, it hurts. Yes, but we are bringing in players
yeah.
to
A lot of
play
players were in their mid
around.
20s. Yeah, and a lot of them were like
Exactly.
not old. They were like I don't know, was still in his mid 20s. When his Mori was probably still
Exactly.
mid to
Exactly.
mid 20s.
You
We
kind
had
of
like
had an idea.
mhm.
Kind of had an idea, but then it happened at the worst time. 2019, we were on the verge of being eliminated thanks to Vasquez Mellado against Pumas, Juarez against Pumas. That's why we went to the quarterfinals against Santos, swept them, then Necaxa, then the final, right? But people forget that the next tournament we were on the last place,
Yeah,
sir.
if it wasn't for COVID,
On
people
the
they would have.
last fucking place, right? Same team, same manager, same everything. Last place. So that has to make you wonder, were we on the right track? No, we were not. That was the last Coke in the desert. That was it. You hit a lottery, you collect the prize, think that you were doing things really bad, what those things were, fix them, right? We didn't do that. We kept on the same players for another 4 years. Again, we won a Concacaf because God is good. But at the end of the day, we wasted 5 good years financially speaking.
Mhm.
You had the money to invest. You had the resources. you had the everything to sell on bigger players. I'm not even talking Europe, in Liga MX, to bring those players in, to bring a Quinones, to bring a whoever the hottest guy was
Mhm.
on those 5 years. You had the money to do so, but you didn't have the ability or the common sense or the capacity to think outside the fucking box, and then you ended up where you are right now. What's gonna happen again? Let's say the world champions. What's gonna happen, bro? We're gonna go another 6, 7 years, just whatever the wind's taking you. All right, so now we're gonna need a defender type of coach. That's what teach. All right. No, 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 no. We need a guy who's a little bit more offensive. All right, bring Mohamed back. All right. No, no, no. Wait, we're good with the defending stuff. Okay, bring Javier Aguirre. My God, bro. What? What? It's not. It's not rocket science. And even if it was, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Again, again, I ask you the question. If you see the roster, you know you have two tournaments, then the World Cup. I'm telling you, this question I have asked around pretty much the entire city, right? People who kind of know football, people who really knows football, people who whatever. Everybody is on the same thing. Why does Monterrey doesn't have a striker? Only God knows why. It's
Yeah,
fucking annoying.
it's I mean, they're gonna choose the window where you have to, where you pretty much are gonna tell somebody come in and then just go out there and play. There's gonna be the player's not gonna know Canales,
Nothing. Yeah.
tendencies. He's not gonna know the player's tendencies. Like, okay, this player likes to go when he does that. He likes. I know he's gonna do that.
Mhm.
So you're pretty much gonna tell them play freestyle because there's no you don't know, and then see if it
No,
works out.
that's the way that we play. So maybe it's gonna work.
um, eh, Last thing
That's
before
annoying.
we'll close that at 115. We're at 102. Um,
I don't believe you, sir.
yeah, no, we're gonna do that. But it for you is this do you think Demichelis figures it out, stays long term, and do you think that those like vindicated by like saying, okay, I backed him and
Mhm.
it it paid off for me. A lot of his long term quote unquote in terms of like extensions, coaches, projects that are long term. Outside of like signing Canales and doing all those types of signings, but like those, like, hey, I'm gonna reward this player for a contract extension, get the coach. That things hasn't worked out. Um, do you think this project survives this season? Whatever. I agree. If they're gonna make a change, it was gonna be now. Now's the time to do it. If they're not, then you just ride him until
Mhm.
wherever, like you said, wherever the wind takes us with this project.
Mhm.
But overall, removing your Monterrey hat, just you watching football and
Mhm.
just analyzing this team, because to me, I feel like we're destined for the play-in. I maybe if we, I
Yeah,
if
no,
the only way we don't get to the play-in if we beat America or Leon, like one of those teams. So like because you need to start like hopping over teams, like you.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
like you know they got to start hopping over teams, but and
Mhm.
it's just a frustrating. Like when you start thinking about the schedule,
Yeah.
it's just frustrating. But do you see this project surviving past this tournament and past the World Cup? So let's say Dimichelis stays past this tournament, and it's like, okay, just take us to the World Cup. Which I mean, we'll see how it goes with River Plate, because I feel like that's like the big one where it's like whoever wins that game.
Mhm.
Unless, I mean, I can't even say we can't underestimate the Japanese team because
Exactly.
we lost to Vancouver. We lost. They lost
Exactly.
to. We've seen this club lose to an Egyptian club, so you can't really say, well,
Mhm.
we should beat the Japanese. Well, there's no. You can't guarantee. You can't say recent history has shown they can lose these games. But
Mhm.
assuming he's gonna go, it would be, unless you like don't even make the play, and that's the only way I see it. And that would be
Yeah.
like everything
Mhm.
going wrong.
Yeah.
And then that would be something totally chaotic. But where do you see this project going past this tournament and past the
I
World Cup? Do you see
as
it?
I think that I'm trying to, as you said, I'm trying to take my Monterey shirt off and be logical, right? Being that the next games is Chivas, well, Tijuana, that's a win. Chivas, that's a win because of how the other teams are playing. They're playing worse than us, and one of them has Chicharito. I mean, then you have Tigres away, which is for me is a W because the last year has been like that. Then you have uh America, or is the other way around? I don't remember. But you have America, which is, let's say you lose that one.
Well, no,
Uh,
they could be where they could be focused on on the Concacaf too. You might get a rotated spot. They may be like, you
exactly.
know what, man, we
And
they
and
they're trying to win
and
that
again,
tournament.
America is one of those teams that lets you play,
Yeah,
and you have seen what happens, right? So maybe let's say that you
I mean,
lose that one.
you saw Jardine really say, I don't give a fuck about this classical agreement.
Exactly.
You know, it's like I'm worried about the
Exactly.
Concacaf. I'm gonna play a U23 team. Like he literally just
Mhm.
said, fuck, I don't give a shit if this is the
If
classical.
you get an America like that, you're obviously gonna win. But let's say we lose, right? So you have 12, then 3, 6, 9. Let's say 12 out of the next 15, right? You have 19, so that's what? Uh,
Let
what?
me look at the standings.
31. 31.
Yeah, yeah.
So you would be uh either the fourth or fifth place. That's not something crazy. That's something that you could do, right? Again, because of how the teams are playing, the recent history against those teams. Leon away, you have had good results the last few years. So, given that, or even if that doesn't happen and you lose a couple of more, but you're gonna be on the play-in. There's no two ways about it because it's 10 teams, bro. So you're gonna be there, even if you don't want to, right? I think that the possibility for Demichelis to stay is gonna increase if he goes to the quarterfinals, because that's a different story to sell. Well, we were tumbling, but look, all the way here, we're on the quarterfinals. So people, please take home. We're gonna bring such and such player for World Cup. Everybody's happy. So I think that's how they're seeing it, right? If you're gonna do that, if you don't give a fuck about people's opinion, which you shouldn't, because you're a manager, but if you don't give a fuck how we playing and nothing around the team and you're solely focusing on a project, then bravo, my friend. Bring the players that the Tibichelis wants, have those players in, let them cook, give them the keys to the stadium, and let's go for 2 years. If that's the case, if you really see a project, if you really see a process um, that started almost 9 months ago, and you're sort of happy with the results, let's say a final and quarterfinals on CONCACAF, which on paper doesn't look that bad, right?
Mhm.
So if that's your idea, all right, but write it all the way and live up to your mistakes and tell the people what it is that you're seeing. Because again, this is something that I have said a bunch of times. If you're just doing things to do it, which apparently you are, people are gonna be mad at me because we don't see it. We just don't see the picture that you're seeing. We don't see why the Michelis wasn't laid off. You could have ended the tournament, La Liga, with Nico Sanchez and Hugo Castillo.
Mhm.
Why? Really simple. because you already fucked it up. So you have to live up to your mistakes. No coach is gonna touch your team at this moment. Face it. I think that could have been the
Hmm.
reason that maybe he grabbed the phone and, hey yo, I don't know, Dinis, você falar português? É meu equipo, meu amigo. Fuck you, bro. All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Uh, Dennis and Sampaoli and whomever, you name it. Well, maybe the Argentinians because they are greedy. But
Yeah.
any good coach is not gonna say yes. Give me that team right now. I will take it. It's not like that. It's not like
Yeah,
that.
and you saw the report of Lopetegui. He wanted the money. He wanted the money. If you're gonna make me go over there, I want to get paid for doing this.
Exactly.
So it's
And
like you
and
either gotta
just
overpay. Mhm.
let's
Go ahead.
be clear. A guy like Lopetegui, because people love to play FIFA's on the manager run. We are fit for a guy like Crespo, maybe Sampaoli, maybe Dinis, because and you have said it also. Dennis was like the guy, and then what happened?
Mhm.
So you could have a guy like that, but Lopetegui, Xavi, um, Carlo Ancelotti, Pep Guardiola, because people are saying those names, right? Those guys are not gonna come here. Just fucking face it. Face it. There's not enough money in the world to grab a guy who's aiming to win the Champions League to come over here and
Yeah,
play against Zacatecas, bro. That's not gonna happen.
yeah,
It's
no.
not gonna happen. So you might as well be.
I
This
but
is this is this
I
is
would look at the second tier manager. Like for example, so
exactly.
say for example Flamengo when they beat River Plate, like George Jesus. I mean, if you follow like Benfica or at least know the sport, like you know who he is, right? It's like
Mhm.
those are like the second tier manager. You're not gonna get the
Yeah,
first tier, but you can maybe convince a second tier manager. Like that would
exactly. It's,
be.
it's it's like the players.
Mhm.
It's just like the players in Europe. You're not gonna bring Mbappe, bro. You're not. You might have the money, and you give him I don't know 100 oxes. You're not gonna sign Mbappe, but you might sign
Yeah, because
Isco,
you start seeing, like, for
Morata.
example, like over the last year, like you saw Memphis Depay go to Corinthians. Like those are like that second tier players where it's like, yeah,
Exactly.
we know who they are, but they're not superstars, right? But they're
Mm-hmm.
we know who they are. And Canales is in that same boat, right? Like those are like
Mm-hmm.
the players that you can probably bring over, like James Rodriguez, like those that second tier that you can convince to come over. And I think that would be like the managers too. You would need to
And
bring in that second tier, whoever
and
you want.
what's and if you were Filisola, what's stopping you from doing exactly that on the manager position, not just coaching? Why don't you bring a second tier guy from Europe to help you uh, build
Yeah,
from the ground up? It's
that,
your new tenure. You're gonna be here the next 15, 20 years.
yeah,
Why don't you build something?
your guess is as good as mine. But yeah,
Mhm.
I think once the Canales, not to go too far ahead, I think we can do this on another day. But once the Canales era is over, whether it be this summer or the next, if they don't win the club or if they don't win Concacaf next year, I would have to think that they're gonna have to start getting they're gonna have to build a more younger team,
Yeah.
um, because obviously you have a lot of players in their 30s, so you're gonna have to transition them out, and you're gonna have to get rid of players who are just too inconsistent. So that,
If you don't win a championship this year, you definitely have to build up from
yeah,
ground zero
yeah,
for next year because
yeah,
it didn't work. The bringing players with the experience type of situation didn't work.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, it's I'm curious to see how what direction they go past this Club World Cup because we can't ignore their age anymore. Like we can't like if it's true that they just they couldn't handle the workload at some point during the summer. People are gonna. I hope you and I'll definitely bring it up. Like you're gonna have to start bringing in some young players to
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
these guys. And I hope going forward they can get a player like John Kennedy. Like yeah, he's young, but at least he can show up in good moments. There's baggage. You got to keep
Yeah,
him away
no.
from the nightlife. You got to keep him away from the nightlife. But that's where you get a manager that can control players. But I would always bag on those types of players where it's like the talent is there. You just got to put them on the right path. Um,
You don't need them. You don't need to do it. I mean, it is what every Brazilian has that. Everyone. Like maybe Kaká is the like outside of like he's the exception because of his religion or whatnot. But Ronaldo was like that, and everybody knew it. And nobody, even Mourinho said, "Why you gonna play Ronaldo if he has only been here for 3 days? We are at the final." And that coach, I don't remember the name of the coach, he said, "This is Ronaldo, bro. What the fuck are you saying?" It's like that. I mean, bring a player like that, let him be, give him all the multimedia bitches that there is here, and win trophies. At the end of the day, what's gonna matter, bro, for any for Tato Noriega, Hector Lara, and Filisola right now, what matters the most is your legacy. So whatever way you see fit to bring those trophies in, do it. Do it. That's it.
man, we didn't have a direction for this podcast. It was just like let's just try to unwind, unbag all this baggage that's gone on for the
Thank
last
you.
for the last week. And yeah,
I saw your last ones. Like there were a lot more yuppie than this.
yeah, no,
Yeah, you were saving yourself. You were saving yourself for all the critics that Rompas brings to. Yeah, I
yeah,
know you, my friend. I know you, my friend.
it was,
Don't worry
it
about
was, it was yeah. Everybody needs this FIFA break. We need a break from Monterrey, but hopefully, you know, all we have left is a league title. I'll take a break from watching Concacaf. If I had to pick a winner, America. Don't let Messi win it. Don't just America
it. Yeah, of course.
win your title. I would prefer their annoying fans over Messi annoying fans. So
Yeah, yeah,
hopefully,
definitely.
hopefully they get that. But Ropas, anything else you want to add before we go?
Yes, big shout out to all my ropistas as usual. We're close to 43K, I think. I don't remember anymore. And big shout out to you, sir, because with this new way of doing the podcast, I saw that you brought new talent in, which is always
Yes.
appreciated. And just to for people who's watching it or listening, hit up Eddie. He's really open to have you in the podcast. If you are not really confident with the English situation, he knows well. He knows Spanish, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So he can do it in Spanish too. But other than that, nothing. Thank you for having me. I missed it. I missed it. And
Yes, same, likewise, man. That's why I did. So I was like, okay, I had to bring this back because whatever Twitter allows for tweeting, I was like, I need to shout it.
mhm,
I need to have a space where I can do it. But yeah,
exactly.
I brought in some new people. That way, I don't just have to count on you or Patrick, Mr. Patrick. I'm trying to get him
Shout
back.
out, Mr. Longballs.
So yeah, I always want to have you guys back because that's how we
Hmm.
started all of this, and for as far as
Yes,
we take this, that's how it's always
exactly.
going to be. But yeah, I follow.
There's one challenge that I have for anybody who jumps in the podcast. Go back and watch or listen Monterrey's championship against Tigres. it was Tigres, right? On the Concacaf, the one
Yeah,
that has more views and more
yeah,
listens.
yeah, that.
Try to beat me, motherfuckers.
Yeah. um, yeah. Thank you everybody for listening. I have to tell everybody like and subscribe since this is on you now on YouTube. So now I have to keep reminding myself you gotta hit like and subscribe. And yeah,
Yes, sir.
next week
Yes.
if we'll have another we'll have another podcast next week. We'll see. I don't think any news should be happening, or at least I don't think so. You never know. Don't bust. Really appreciate you, man. Everybody, thanks for listening.